I was talking the other day about the development of the concept of Santa Claus and its origins in St. Nicholas and St. Basil. St. Nicholas, the 4th century Christian bishop of Myra in modern day Demre in Turkey, known for his generosity, he became the patron saint of children, sailors, and merchants. And the key legend is about how he rescued these three impoverished girls by secretly delivering gold coins to their father, which fell into their stockings hung by the fireplace. And this story has influenced the stocking tradition, putting out your stocking for Christmas. And the Dutch settlers who brought the figure of Sinterklaas to America, which evolved into Santa Claus, and the name Sinterklaas is the Dutch adaptation of Saint Nicholas. Saint Nicholas. The corresponding Orthodox saint, Saint Basil, a sort of Orthodox Santa in Eastern Orthodox Christianity, Saint Basil the Great, is associated with gift giving in countries like Greece, particularly. His feast on January the 1st is celebrated with the Vasilopita, a special cake baked with a coin inside for luck. And St. Basil's emphasis on care for the poor, again, connects him to traditions of charity and giving during the holiday season. And then you've got the night before Christmas and all that sort of stuff. But what I'm interested today is the Islamic influence on the development of the myth of St. Nicholas. So the Islamic legacy in Myra, with the rise of Islam in the 7th century, Myra, where St. Nicholas lived, became part of the Islamic world. And this cultural blending indirectly preserved some of the legends of St. Nicholas, as relics and stories were later rediscovered during the crusading period. And Santa's emphasis on generosity parallels the Islamic values of zakat, charity, one of the 5 pillars of Islam, and both emphasize helping the less fortunate, which may reflect broader shared cultural values. And during the Islamic Golden Age, knowledge and cultural practices flowed between the Christian and the Islamic regions, and some would argue that the broader values of generosity and festive giving in medieval Christian Europe may have been heavily influenced by Islamic customs of community care and hospitality. We get the word hospital and hotel, or the hospitaller movement, from that interaction between Islam and the Crusaders particularly. And the Ottoman Empire's control over Myra ensured that the relics and the stories of St. Nicholas were preserved and were later reinterpreted by Europeans. So if you go over to the concept of zakat itself, this resonates deeply with the foundational principles of the St. Nicholas story. And while there's no direct historical evidence of Islamic zakat shaping St. Nicholas's actions, the shared cultural emphasis on charitable giving, support for the poor, the importance of community solidarity highlight significant parallels. And these parallels allow people to understand how broader traditions of almsgiving, including those influenced by Islamic zakat, could resonate with or reinforce the legacy of St. Nicholas. Zakat is one of the 5 pillars of Islam. It's a mandatory act of giving a fixed portion of wealth, 2.5% of a person's savings, to those in need, including the poor, orphans, and debtors. And it embodies ideas of social justice, wealth redistribution, the alleviation of inequality. The giver purifies their wealth and soul by giving to others, by fulfilling their duty within the community. Zakat is explicitly directed towards the vulnerable, including widows, orphans, and the impoverished, groups that feature prominently in the St. Nicholas narrative. So there's no doubt that the Nicholas story is rooted in the concept of charity for marginalized individuals. It's also, of course, highly present in Christianity. It's part of the Sermon on the Mount. But the most famous legend about Nicholas involves him secretly giving gold coins to save these 3 daughters. And the act preserves the dignity and the future of a family, mirroring the compassionate purpose of zakat. The core goal of zakat is to address poverty, to restore dignity to individuals. And by alleviating financial burden, zakat prevents exploitation and preserves social harmony. And the anonymity in giving. Nicholas famously delivers gold coins secretly, dropping them into stockings or through windows, and this approach ensures humility in giving and protecting the recipient's pride. It's got huge parallels, of course, when you come into the Middle Ages with the activities of Francis of Assisi. And Islamic teachings emphasize the virtue of giving without seeking recognition. In Surah Al-Baqarah, in the Quran, if you disclose your charitable giving, it's good, but if you conceal it and give to the poor, it's better. The secretive nature of St. Nicholas, of Santa Claus, aligns with that principle of discretion, of secrecy. As for supporting orphans and widows, this is specific in Islam. Zakat prioritizes orphans, widows, and the destitute. These groups are repeatedly emphasized in the Quran and the Hadiths as deserving care and support, fostering an ethic of responsibility. And the Christian tradition of gift-giving during Christmas is rooted in St. Nicholas's generosity, along with these seasonal acts of charity. And while zakat is not tied to any single season, the holy month of Ramadan often sees an increase in giving as Muslims strive to maximize their good deeds. And this seasonal generosity creates a cultural precedent for structured giving at specific times. So after the rise of Islam in the 7th century, Myra and the surrounding Mediterranean became zones of interaction between Islam and Christianity, and Islamic principles like zakat and Christian charitable principles intermingled. And the Islamic-controlled regions often preserved Christian sites and stories such as those of St. Nicholas, and these narratives may have been subtly reshaped through exposure to Islamic values. And the Ottoman Empire's stewardship of regions associated with St. Nicholas ensured that his legacy endured. Both Islam and Christianity stress the moral and the spiritual necessity of giving, which is evident in zakat and the traditions inspired by St. Nicholas. And the similarities reflect shared Abrahamic values of looking towards creating a better world, closing the gap between the rich and the poor, fostering harmony, giving tzedakah, the charity, again, that goes back to Judaism too, and the moral responsibility. Wealth comes from God. It's something which we are given by God, and we should use it to benefit others. And in both cases, this focus on action, generosity is not an abstract concept, but a practical requirement of faith. As the St. Nicholas story evolves into the modern Santa Claus myth, the Islamic ethos of structured, meaningful giving embodied in zakat remains an enduring influence, and the values of generosity, care for the poor, the dignified charity connection between zakat and the Christian and the Jewish and the secular traditions surrounding St. Nicholas are all intermingled. So while St. Nicholas may predate Islam, the principles of Islamic charity resonate deeply with his story and its later interpretations, and the cultural interchanges between Islam and Christian societies, particularly in the Mediterranean, are reinforced and transmit these shared ideas of generosity. This interconnectedness highlights how zakat and Christian charity and Jewish tzedakah collectively underpin the enduring myth of Santa Claus as a symbol of hope, kindness, and secrecy in selfless giving.